why some products explode in popularity while others quietly disappear? The Boston Consulting Group matrix, also called the BCG matrix, can help us understand exactly why that happens. Hi, I'm Jayla Marquez, and in this video for my strategic management course, I'll walk you through what the BCG matrix is, why it matters, and how companies use it to make big decisions. Over the next 10 minutes, you'll learn the 4 quadrants of the matrix, see real-world examples, and understand how to apply it in strategic planning. Shown in the previous slide is the BCG matrix. The BCG matrix was developed in the early 1970s by the Boston Consulting Group as a tool to help businesses analyze their product portfolios. Its main purpose is to help companies decide which products to invest in, which to maintain, and which to phase out. It does this using 2 measures. First, relative market share, shown on the x-axis, indicates how strong a product is compared to competitors. Second, market growth rate, shown on the y-axis, indicates how fast the market for that product is expanding. By plotting products on a simple grid, companies can quickly visualize their position in the market and make informed resource allocation decisions. The first quadrant in the BCG matrix is referred to as the stars. The stars are products with high market share in a high growth market. Stars are leaders in growing industries. They require heavy investment to keep up with demand, but also have the potential for strong returns. An example of a star is the iPhone. In its early years, the iPhone is the classic star. It dominated the smartphone market while the industry was still growing rapidly. The next quadrant of the BCG matrix is called the cash cows. Cash cows are products with high market share in a low growth market. These products generate consistent, reliable profits and require little investment. A great example of a cash cow is Coca-Cola's flagship soda, the Coca-Cola. The market for carbonated beverages does not grow at a rapid rate. However, Coca-Cola dominates it and uses that steady income to fund other projects. The third quadrant of the BCG matrix is referred to as the question marks. These are products with low market shares in a high growth market. These are tricky. They might become stars with enough investment, or they could fall and turn into what would be the next quadrant, dogs. An example of question marks is Tesla's Cybertruck. Before its official launch, this product was a question mark. It's in a growing electric truck market, but it didn't have any proven sales. However, one might argue that Cybertrucks have now entered the star category. The final quadrant of the BCG matrix is referred to as dogs. Dogs are products with low market share in a low growth environment. They typically generate little profit and may even lose a company money. Microsoft's Zune music player is a prime example of a dog. This was a low share, slow growing market, and eventually the product was discontinued. Now that we've discussed the 4 quadrants of the BCG matrix, it is important to note that one must remember products can move between quadrants. A question mark can become a star. A star can mature into a cash cow. And unfortunately, cash cows can fade into dogs if the market declines or competitors take over. So, how do you actually use the BCG matrix? There are many steps in this process. The first step would be to identify the products or business units that you want to analyze. The second step is to gather data on the market share and the overall market growth rate. Step 3 would require you to plot these on the matrix. Step 4, you must choose your strategy. Will you invest in stars, maintain cash cows, decide whether to grow or drop question marks, or consider phasing out dogs? Let's take Apple, for example, of a BCG chart. On this graph, iPhones would be the stars, MacBooks would be the cash cows, and Apple Watch would be a question mark in its early years, but now it would definitely be considered a star. Or, in the dog category, one would choose an iPod. Once a star and now a dog, the iPod has been discontinued. For another example of how a company would use the BCG matrix, we can look at Disney and apply the matrix to Disney's business units. Stars of Disney would be Disney Plus. Disney Plus is in a rapidly growing streaming market and has gained a strong share since its launch. A cash cow for Disney would be Disney's theme parks. Growth for theme parks is much slower than for a streaming market, for example. However, theme parks bring in steady and predictable revenue year after year. This is even more the case in this age where Disney adults are very popular on social media. Adults who go to Disney frequently can create profit by posting these videos on YouTube or TikTok, thus bringing in more revenue for Disney's cash cow, their theme parks. Some of Disney's question marks might be their smaller channels like FX or National Geographic. These would be considered question marks because they're in evolving markets but don't dominate them. A dog for Disney would be traditional print publishing or underperforming cable networks that fall into this category because these do not contribute very much growth to Disney. This shows how Disney can use the matrix to decide where to keep investing, like streaming, or where to scale back its resources, such as in print media. While the BCG matrix is a very helpful tool for companies, it does not come without its limitations and criticisms. First, the matrix can oversimplify decision making. Market growth and market share are just two factors, but companies also need to consider things like profitability, innovation, competitive edge, and customer loyalty. Second, the matrix does not consider how products or business units work together. A product classified as a dog on its own might still play a critical role in a company's strategy. Take Disney, for example. A less profitable show on a smaller network might still drive audiences to Disney Plus, thus boosting profit. Third, the BCG matrix assumes that market share automatically leads to profitability. However, this is not always the case. Finally, the BCG matrix does not account for external factors like regulation, technological changes, or global economic shifts. Overall, the BCG matrix is a really great starting point for many companies, but it should not be the end-all be-all in portfolio management. In conclusion, the BCG matrix is a simple but powerful tool that divides products or business units into 4 categories. To recap, these categories are stars, which dominate fast-growing markets and need continued investment, cash cows, which provide steady profits that can fund other ventures, question marks, which represent opportunities that could succeed or fail depending on the strategy, and dogs, which often drain resources and may need to be phased out. When used thoughtfully, the matrix helps companies see their portfolio at a glance and make smarter decisions about where to invest, where to hold steady, and where to cut back. It turns a complex business landscape into a clear visual framework. However, it is important to remember that the BCG matrix is not perfect. I believe it works best as a starting point for companies. This would be a way to open up strategic conversations. Real-world businesses like Disney, Apple, and Coca-Cola use it not in isolation, but alongside other tools for deeper analysis. In my opinion, the real strength of the BCG matrix is that it gets managers to ask the right questions. These questions could be, which of our 4 products are really worth driving? Which ones are funding the future? Which ones are risky bets? And which ones are no longer worth the effort? If you take away one thing from this video, it is this. The BCG matrix is less about putting labels on products and more about guiding choices. Strategy is about deciding where to play and how to win. And the BCG matrix gives you a framework for how to make those tough calls. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you now feel confident in explaining the BCG matrix and understanding how to apply it to strategic management. Thank you very much for an amazing semester, and I really learned a lot. I will take what I've learned with me into my future careers and my future path as an HR professional. Have an amazing rest of your summer. Thank you.